Physical, emotional, and mental. We know how much energy it would be required maybe to run a 3-mile run. Physically. It would require a certain amount of physical energy. Physical energy is the most dense energy. Finer energy is emotional energy, your emotional energy system. And then an even finer energy is your intellectual system, where you use your creative faculties. Now, we've all had the experience of using the intellect all day long, perhaps, and going to work and using your intellect, and you had every intention of going to the gym at the end of the day, but you found yourself what? Drained. You just couldn't do it. Or you were using your intellectual energy system along with your emotional energy system, and you were emotionally charged over something and therefore depleting out of your entire energy system, and your body was what? Drained. You didn't run anywhere. You sat in your butt all day long on a seat, but you didn't do anything physically, but yet you'd have no physical energy. So you're depleting out of that energy system based on whether or not you're using it in a positive way or a negative way. Polarities, right? We all have a duality within us. And we're going to talk about that. So, in other words, we're all bipolar. So you have physical, emotional, and intellectual energy centers. And when they're all in balance, and when they're all firing, we could be considered in a state of balance, in a state of harmony. It also could be considered wellness, at least for our purposes today. And also, when they're all firing in a positive way, you have access to passion. In fact, it's my guess that you probably are passionate. You're probably on purpose. How many of you have had the experience where you're using your intellectual energy center, you're creating maybe something for your business, etc., and you're excited about it emotionally, and you're doing things physically, and at the end of the day, you can't go to sleep. You've got so much energy, you got to wind down. In other words, your energy systems are firing. That would be passionate energy. But then we have the opposite of that, like I said, where if you take one of those out, and you're using your intellect, and maybe you're even using your physical body to create a success in your business, since we're all entrepreneurs, but you've got no emotional stuff going on, you're not emotional about it one way or the other, you take that energy system away, and you got what? A routine, a pattern, boredom. And then you start to deplete. And then as time goes on, it gets harder and harder to get your butt out of bed and do the things you want to do to create the success that you say you want, because you've got no emotional attachment to it. You're probably in the wrong vehicle. You probably don't know what your purpose is. But when you know what your purpose is, and you've got meaning, and I'm talking about deep meaning, and you're excited, you've got a reason to get out of bed, you know why you're on the planet, you've got all three of these energy centers firing. You've got an excess of energy. Some people don't even know what to do with it. Like, they're all over the place. And again, that extreme also would be considered out of balance. Like people who are like buzzing and happy and right? They're also out of balance. And then you've got this end over here where, oh my God, it's another day. I'm working so hard, I'm chopping down so many trees, I'm trying to cut down the forest, and I'm just so depleted. Okay, so these energy systems, today is about learning about these energy systems and learning how to balance yourselves. My sensei used to tell me, you know what, if you spend all day, if you had thought of these things as on a scale, mind, body, spirit, and you were in the library all day studying, using your intellect, but you had no physical activity, your scale's completely out of balance. So real quickly on the topic of balance then, the law of balance states that the harmonious movement of energy is achieved through balance. Think about nature. Think about life. Everything is always moving. Am I standing still right now, or am I moving?
You're moving.
It looks like I'm standing still. Am I on balance?
Yes.
Physically, maybe. You don't know what's going on in here, because I know what time it is. But we've got cells, and I've got cells and atoms and things going on moving. The chair beneath you is actually moving. There's subatomic particles and things moving and vibrating and holding everything in place, right? There's always movement. Think about nature. It's constantly balancing itself and rebalancing itself. The whole ecosystem is based off of that, right? Now, if I walk from point A to point B, from where I am today to my future in walking, let me ask you a question. Am I on balance or off?
Seems like
Both. Because in order to move, I must off-balance myself. A walk is a continual forward lean. That's what a walk is. And if I don't catch myself, I will fall. So in the martial arts, we look at the center. I'm a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Jiu-jitsu is the mother martial art. It has everything involved. Kicking, punching, throwing, ground fighting. But a lot of the throws that we see in judo, a lot of the takedowns, come from jiu-jitsu. Judo is a derivative of jiu-jitsu. So we look at the center of balance. Now, this triangle right here that you're seeing is my base, and this is my center. Your center is about 2 to 3 inches below your belly button. In fact, different modalities talk about the center, your center, breathing into your center, and we do too in the martial arts. This is your center. Now, if you want to toss somebody, if you want to throw them, take them down, you must move this center out of this triangle here. So if I'm fighting, that person, the other fighter, is going to form a base. They're going to connect with the ground and make themselves heavy. And my objective then would be to get this center outside of that triangle here. So I've got some play. I can move here and still remain on balance. But if I get too far outside of that triangle, I will fall. My objective in throwing somebody is to get that center outside of that triangle so that they fall easily. But life is very, very much the same way. As you're moving from point A to point B, you're going to be off balance a little bit. You need to expect that. But you don't want to get so far outside of balance that you fall. These energy centers can pull you out of that balance. They can continue to tug and pull on this center. So you're using your intellect and your emotions, but you're not using your body. You're not working out. Perhaps you're eating too much. You're gaining weight. It's stressing you out. So emotionally, it's starting to deplete your energy. And you're creating stuff and you're excited about it, but you're not paying attention to your body. And sooner or later, it just keeps tugging and tugging and tugging until you're so far out of balance that you crash. In the example I just used, we might call that you get a diagnosis. So we want to bring it back into center. It's very, very important that we know about balance and understand that you're constantly balancing and rebalancing, and you're constantly moving. How many of you, if you want to move from point A to point B, how many of you have found yourself moving, trying to catch your balance, trying to get to where you want to go, and falling sometimes, and having to get back up? Okay, now, the question is then, what causes you to be out of balance? What causes you? Not me, you.